From author Brian K. Morris comes a classic hero in a high-flying, fast-paced, and action-packed steampunk adventure. The original Skyman battles the Master of Steam with an introduction by comics icon and historian Roy Thomas. A Rising Tide, an Ace Comics publication. Available now in print or digital format on Amazon.com.
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And I muted myself so I wouldn't say anything or belch during the introduction. Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum. So glad you are here. Welcome to the show. We want to thank Plasma Fire Graphics for sponsoring this episode. When the look of your book matters to you, get in touch with Plasma Fire Graphics because they are obviously experts. You saw the 2 trailers that led this show. He can do that for you at indie creator prices, and that includes comics. So please check him out on Facebook and also at plasmafiregraphics.com. This show is powered by the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, and Thursdays is on a very packed night. We've got Amy Hale and John Hale following this show with Creative as Hale, and then Stupid O'Clock at 9 p.m. Eastern. Check your local listings, and then the Stupid After Show at 11, and also other things. Take a screenshot of that if you would, please. It'll be important to you. And also thank you to our Patreon subscribers. Patreon is a way you can support your favorite creators with a small monthly contribution, whatever's comfortable for you. Plus, we give you stuff in exchange. So please check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And I realized I forgot to launch into our usual countdown clock. So Skunk, I hope you'll forgive us. And hold on a second. And we're going to take me off the screen and introduce our panel. And Clyde, you are muted. Clyde? Yeah, you. Hold on a second. Okay, there we go. We got you unmuted now. Okay. There you go. I think we were both trying to unmute you at the same time and canceling each other out. So anyway, issue 8 of Comic Book Spectrum. Whoever thought we'd get this far? Goodness, yes. Yay us. Anyway. But anyway, we've got a fun show planned for tonight, and as always, audience participation is encouraged, and we'll be taking selected comments and questions. Otherwise, we'll try to pop you on the screen when we can and say hello to you. But let's start with, as usual, introducing this wonderful panel. We will start with let's start with Clyde Hall this time, and then go around the room clockwise as our viewers see us. So anyway, Clyde, take it away. Tell everybody who you are.
Hi, I am Clyde Hall. I'm a lifelong comic book reader and fan. I'm an elder statesman of geekery, including, but not limited to, vintage toys, cheesy movies, Monster Kid paraphernalia, horror comics, noir. I'm an independent author and a contributing writer for Charles F. Millhouse's Stormgate Press. And I have created a character called B-Man, who's currently featured in the award-winning Pulp Reality #1, available at Stormgate Press. You should go to www.stormgatepress.com to look for Pulp Reality #1, the soon-to-be-released Pulp Reality #2, and many fine Stormgate Press products. If you like new pulp, this is a leader in the new pulp genre. But there are also other things, too, there for you to check out and look at. A lot of Charles's books and other books. And I am also an award-winning audio drama writer. I submitted a script and won a 2021 Tyranny's Tale of Terror audio drama competition with 52 other writers this year for Worlds Apart, from a Tar Paper Shack, which is a kind of a classic Twilight Zone sort of story that is yet to be produced this year by the backers at Tierney's Tales of Terror audio dramas. And in addition, I have been a comic book reviewer for the last couple of years for www.doomrocket.com, currently on hiatus, but they have a podcast that you should check out called Casual Wednesdays.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. And now we'll wait till Eric is done. There we go. We gave him a chance. But anyway, Eric S. Hawkins, tell everybody how awesome you are.
I am Eric S. Hawkins, independent comic creator and creator of the Zombophile World of Oz, with issue 3 launching on Kickstarter April 26th at, let's say 9 a.m. maybe? I'm off all day, so we'll just pick a time early. Hey, that's it. I'm good.
Okay, well, that was easy. All right, and speaking of easy, he's not easy like a Sunday morning. Let's go to brianrodman.com. Oh, Brian, tell me how awesome you are.
My name is Brian Rodman. I like long walks on the beach, tall glass of red wine, and a nice foot massage at the end of the day. No. As weird and creepy as that was, this is not as weird and creepy. Memoirs of an Angel is a horror fantasy comic book series that I write and illustrate. And if you hang on tight on my Facebook page in the next couple of days, you will see the next project that I'm a part of, which is called The Nebulizer, and more on that later, that will be launching on Kickstarter next month. So, there you go, mystery and intrigue. I'm also 1/3 of the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, show about all things nerdy with the amazing Jeremy Woodring and the fantastic and humble Chad Nuss. You can find us on YouTube under the Dastardly Dingoes title, and you can find me at brianrodman.com, and it has all my social media stuff and all the goodies there. So thanks.
Yeah.
That's
Can't believe the professionalism.
I know.
Oh, sorry, everybody. Anyway, dignity, always dignity. Anyway, I'm Brian K. Morris, who cannot stand being upstaged, and I am an independent publisher, award-winning playwright, freelance hybrid author, Facebook famous YouTuber, and former mortician's assistant. We write books. We do comic books every now and then. Got a couple in the pipeline. And then we do a lot of shows, which you saw if you took a screen capture of the card from earlier. But anyway, I'm also proud to be 1/4 of this August group here. And I want to thank these 3 lovely gentlemen for being here tonight. As always, making this Thursday a fun night. And we want to say hello to Carl Witzman. Glad you're here. And Carleen. And they're having an encounter here. It's like they know each other. And oh my God, this is getting good. And there's Ted Davies Artistry. Good to see you, Ted. Check out Ted and his wife Chrissy's show tomorrow night. Drinking with the Davies. It's always fun. And see, everybody's getting along. And and they got their whole show going. They don't need us. The 3 or 4 of us can just keep going. And Brian Hawkins, good to see you. And thank you, Ryan Permisson. Everyone, please like and share this video if you would. In fact, I'm going to do something new for this show. Check it out at the bottom. If you like what you see in here, please share this. Please like it on whatever platform you're watching on. And also please subscribe. And also thank your host for being here. And Ryan Permisson, Pulp Anthologies you all recommend. Oh, wow. We'll get to that later. And they haven't even finished the intro and it's already off the rails. Damn right.
This is how we do it.
Right. And OG Pulp Trades I should check out first. And hello to you. Ryan, that's a good question. Pulp, I would say, we could do this real quick. I would say start with some of my favorites, like if you want to see old stuff, I'd say The Shadow by Maxwell Grant. That was a house name, by the way. And Doc Savage by Kenneth Robeson. And there are other good ones like The Spider by Grant Stockridge. I personally love The Green Llama, that by Kenneth Crossan. That was a super one.
You really have no other pulp anthologies to recommend?
You mean other than this one here?
There you go.
You know, not that I'm partial to this one, but however, it's like, no, actually, this is terrific. And if you're looking for modern people, I would recommend a lot of the people in here, like, you know, Clyde, and you know, Clyde's in here. Also, Rick Bradley. Also, the work of people like Jim Beard, John C. Bruning, Tommy Hancock, Derek Ferguson, who unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks ago, but he leaves behind an incredible body of work. There's just a whole lot of great. Ron Fortier is another one I really like. Yes, yes, Brian.
I would also add, if you, and this isn't, it's in the pulp genre. And I got to, just because I got to give my shout out to my Hellboy creator Mike Mignola, Lobster Johnson and Sledgehammer 44 are both excellent pulp genre comic books that I would absolutely recommend. That and the old school Rocketeer comics.
Ooh,
yes,
Rocketeer.
Yeah, seriously. And the movie, yes, Clyde.
Okay, so I always got to mention this because it was sort of my gateway into pulps, and it's a comic strip character, but the Lee Falk Phantom, the paperback.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is a very pulpy character. It's just, just happens to be.
And the movie's great too.
And the movie is one.
Yeah, but it's great.
But that's a good go-to. Now, it's not an anthology. These are actually little novels, little paperbacks, but those are good. Anything from Airship 27 Productions, which Ron Fortier, that's his thing. So any of those I would recommend. There's one horror one also from Stormgate Press. Tales of the Weird and Strange, or Strange and Weird, I believe. And it is, if you like the horror genre of pulp, I really enjoyed some stories in that one. Oh, that was quite good. Yeah. So that would be my takeaway.
Yeah, and Charles F. Milhouse also has a series called Captain Hawkland, Two-Fisted Aerial Avenger. And
I don't know why he misspelled my name on that.
I don't know. It's a mystery to me because everyone knows your legend. I
think Eric. I think it was really just to help you, just to that way people wouldn't be flocking to your house. You know, it was just saving your identity.
I always wanted people to call me a captain, though.
Okay, Captain.
Cool. Aye, Captain.
We started something here.
Yeah, that's his nickname now. There it is.
That's right. And also, I would also check out the catalogs, and they do have an online presence. Moonlight. Books, or no, not Moonstone Books. Excuse me, Moonstone Books. They currently have a number of classic pulp, the rights to some classic pulp characters. Bobby Nash is another one. How could I forget Bobby Nash? BobbyNash.com. He's incredible. I finished the first draft of the story I'm doing for him just yesterday, so I'm so excited. Also, Prose Press by Tommy Hancock. Those are the main ones I would say, but definitely Airship 27 is also another great choice. But yeah, there's a lot of people doing the new pulp thing, and in fact, in your area, Ryan, there is a major pulp convention. I think it's in the fall sometime, and then there's also one outside in the western suburbs of Chicago called Windy City Paper and Pulp that I went to a few years ago, and I was enraptured. It was incredible. So there's plenty of good pulp stuff out there.
I just picture you walking in and go, just the angels start singing, and you're
okay. I got to see a Neil Adams original.
Oh, that's cool.
From the Aurora models of the 70s.
Yeah.
And this series had like comic books inserted in them, and this was like a preliminary sketch of Tarzan by Neil Adams, as he's got like one foot on the lion, and he's about to beat his chest and give the classic Johnny Weissmuller yell. But that, and seeing like all these pulps that Cookie is like, hand me the debit card, Brian. Right now. Hand me the debit card. So yeah, it was a great experience. But there's a lot of great reading out there that I'll shoot you some links sometime, Ryan. I think you'll like it. One omnibus everyone should have on their bookshelves. Wow.
Ooh. Man.
How about we come back to that?
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Did they put the Marvel Handbook in an omnibus form?
Yes,
I would
just
say
been
that.
released. Yeah, that's actually a good choice. I think they just released it. Or no, it's DC. Excuse me, it's the DC. I think there may be a Marvel one too, but yeah, that's a good place to start. Just learning about the various characters. Now I don't know if they've updated them. So
Probably
the information is about 30, 40 years old, but that's the stuff I like, so that's all right. Yes, Pulp Fest in Pittsburgh, but it's the same weekend as another convention I'll be at, but it's a good one too. Hope to go to Pulp Fest one day. Well, you can always cancel this other one.
Yeah.
Just go to Pulp Fest. Right? I think it's worthwhile. Yeah, follow us for more life hacks. But anyway, speaking of potential hacks, it's time for the and I see Clyde up there rubbing his hands together.
Oh yes, he's ready.
Yeah, he's ready for it.
I will say this, Clyde, you've inspired me. I have Post-it notes
sticky notes in a book.
Don't worry, they're not very sticky. I made sure they're not too sticky.
Yeah, and I'm not doing that route, but I'm going with thumbtacks, Eric.
Well, that's better.
No, he just peeled and dog-eared them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I screwed that one up. But anyway, yeah.
It could be worse. I could coal shack it like he used to do his phone books. He's looking for a number. He just turns the page out.
Oh yeah.
So he's going through the place.
Oh gosh.
This page was really good.
Oh,
It's paying me. Oh, that's
my
like rip.
Like I didn't know that it was possible, Clyde, but you just gave me like a migraine just by saying that. Oh man, that hurt my soul.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, well done, sir.
But anyway, we've got reviews of some stuff that's come out recently, and
Ah!
for that I don't blame you. But anyway,
Technical
I think Brian
difficulties.
needs a
Please
moment.
stand by.
yes. Brian is experiencing not technical difficulties but medical ones. Brian,
if I got my own book out on my desk, it's because there was a damage in the shipping, and this one's got a big old ding.
Still, it doesn't matter. That hurt my soul to the very core.
Ooh.
Oh, and later I think we can get out of Mr. Rodman the tale of a great trek he made this week, but that will come after the reviews. So
Indeed.
I saw Clyde like rubbing his hands together.
I think Clyde should go first this time.
I think so. We're going to lead with our gold medalist here, Mr. Clyde Hall. Clyde, what have you got for us to read this week?
All right. This week is the second issue. Last week, second issue of Noctera #2 came out. And this is one of those books that I waited intentionally. The first issue, very nice. I read it a couple of times. Image Comics, glow-in-the-dark cover because they were out of the regular one. I don't normally go for variant covers, but this is a very cool one. It has glowed at me from my shelf for a couple of nights, so I was really happy to get it. And there were things about it that I didn't want to review the first one because I wanted to give it time to it was a great world building exercise, but I wanted to see the second one. So second one has come out. Noctera 2, Image Comics, $3.99 cover price, written by Scott Snyder, art by Tony S. Daniel. The colors are by Tomeu More and letters by N-World Design. It has a maturity recommendation of M for mature. So it's been famously sung about as an old friend. It's used as a descriptor for stories that unnerve us. It inspires fear when we're young, and it hosts intimate moments when we're older. For all its reputation and its influence, though, darkness in the world cannot overcome the light of a single candle. For Image's Noctera title, writer Scott Snyder uses that St. Francis attributed wisdom, hand in claw with Thulsa Doom's promise, now they will learn why they fear the night. Darkness in the case of the Big PM, a day when all light from our sun was somehow blotted out, our world plunged into utter darkness. Within a day, living things in the darkness began to change. Animals, people, even plants became shades, twisted, aberrant versions of their original forms, which then somehow bred between species, combined or redefined into a hostile ecosystem which does not accommodate humans. The one thing which keeps shades at bay? Light. Any kind, but illumination must be maintained if uninfected living matter is present, or else it begins to change too. Few viable options exist for combating shade spread, and humanity seems destined for extinction. A Cliff's Note synopsis might be The Walking Dead cross-pollinated with Pitch Black and then salted with trucker daring do from films like White Line Fever and Mad Max. In the first issue, Snyder conducted masterful world building. For number 2, we learn more about protagonist Val Riggs. Her call sign is Sundog, and she is a ferryman, a trucker, who hauls paying customers and freight across the blighted shade lens to remaining illuminated human settlements. Snyder excels using flashbacks to the start of the PM and linking them into happenings at the narrative time, which is 13 p.m. or 13 years after the sun stopped shining. Sundog's brother, Emery, is her tech and inventor, designing better and brighter weapons for decimating shades. And he also has a condition which is treatable but expensive. So Val's routes pay for his treatments, and with the help of their dispatcher, Bellwether, Sundog treads water. The times are growing more desperate, and the water is rising. Number 1, she took on 2 passengers, promising her huge payouts for a long-haul run. But the older man and his granddaughter that are the passengers are dangerous cargo, pursued by an unyielding hunter called Blacktop Bill. And number 2, Bill gets nearer while Val discovers her passenger's value, which may have caused the big PM, and a possibility of reversing it. Snyder skillfully contrasts the Val that was and the hard-bitten Sundog she's become. She's a hero with unique perspective and experience with darkness. She's also adopted a harsh survivor's view of her reality. It's not bound or based on optimism, hope, or maybes. Val is determined to preserve her life and Emery's against any stacked odds. One of her passengers has information on how and why the PM struck, and it's not lost on readers that he's both a theoretical physicist and a theologian. Because while a science veneer is built into this narrative, a spiritual nature is also woven into the story fabric, I think. The story, or the art of Tony S. Daniel, is amazing in number 2, as it is in number 1. Just to give you an idea, there's the cover, and this is the sort of a splash that you can expect from him. Splash work. Very nice. It really sings. The artwork is amazing. And if you want to know what kind of monsters that we're facing in the dark, there's a pretty good example. All right. So he makes the setting a second-hand remnant civilization fused with road warrior survivors. And as in all war, the fighting ferrymen look way too young, and the veterans are far too lean and worn down by subsistence endurance, basically. Now, Tomeu More's colors, they just fine-tune these elements. And also, he works the shading masterfully. His nightmare creatures, awash and writhing in the despised light, carry an organic, scuttlebiological sheen to them, but also that pallor of darkened, damned souls burnt by purifying flame. It combines it. It's really good. For yet another post-apocalyptic title, Noctera 2 delivers. Because there's a lot of post-apocalypse out there. We've talked about that. This one is different. There's a stylish panache here alongside the blunt and jarring worldly observations. They occupy our thoughts after we close the book because there's really hard and unblinking truths at its core. In most ways, this issue is exceptional. But here's why I waited for number 2. One element of the big PM's gnawed at my brain since the beginning. Heat. Let me preface by saying I'm no Bill Nye. I'm not a big science guy. I handle unrealistic space opera easily. The cross-germinating breeding shade things, I accepted that, not a problem. But given how the story is set up, the idea that our planet, deprived of sunlight's warmth, still supports human life 13 years in, it's a suspension bridge of disbelief stopping halfway across the sticks. Shades may be able to live in a global deep freeze, which isn't how the world is depicted, but if the sun went out, humans would have a couple of weeks before losing the ultimate freeze-out tournament. Maybe an explanation is prepped and pending, but given the mystery of the PM, why not establish it in the excellent previous world build? the sunlight was cut off, yet heat somehow filters through in a manner unexplainable until we better understand what the big PM is. Bereft of even pseudoscience handling, accepting human viability against the elements combined with the shades is hard for me. A second matter is a trend Noctera 2 exhibits. It's one we've seen in other books lately. In the first issue, there's a segue between a flashback and the current narrative with a solid black page. It was dramatic. Didn't even notice it. This issue, regular size issue, we have a flash with 2 full black pages and a little number at the bottom of one. That's it. 2 whole black pages, and it didn't feel dramatic. It felt like padding, and it's a trend that I'm seeing in more and more comics here lately, and I hope that doesn't continue. Noctera 2 gets high marks for being a more interesting post-apocalyptic theme variation than most. Undeniably, it's one of the best illustrated. Despite the drawbacks I mentioned, I will continue it for now because it's a good, solid read, and I'll hope for a satisfying explanation of the pseudoscience as the series continues. So my score for Noctera number 2 is 7.5 out of 10.
Most excellent. Most excellent.
Nice.
Yeah, that does sound good. But yeah, getting around the science would be a little tough. And Carl Witzman is reviewing the reviewer. Wow. Reviews sound poetic. And Amy Hale, glad to see you here, hon. And looking forward to your show tonight following ours on Rising Tide Broadcast Network. But yeah, that's the one thing. If you don't, it's one of those things where it sounds like if you don't probe this real life science too hard, it's still a good book, right?
It is. And, maybe they've got an answer pending. I've been reading Far Sector, and there was something that bugged me about it, and all of a sudden in the middle of the series, they explained it. So if it's a matter of just I'm too impatient, I will readily admit he's unfolding the story the way he wants, and I was too impatient. But when it gnaws at you and it takes you out of the narrative, that's a problem for me. So, and they're selling really well. You can't keep this title in. There's a lot of speculation around it too, apparently, speculative buyers. But I think that there's really something good there that could become great given a chance.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Well, I can understand the speculation because both Snyder and Daniels have been very hot, particularly the last 10 years, from their work on Batman, for instance. So I get that. Well, thank you, Clyde. Appreciate it, as always. Who would like to go next? Okay, I'll go next. Fine. That's your chance. Anyway, my review, and this week I'm taking up the mantle again as DC shill. I know you're shocked. I waited till you were sitting down, Eric. That's the kind of friend I am. But anyway, I got something so welcome, so very welcome to my pleasure-starved soul, and that is Challenge of the Super Sons. That's right, John and Damian are back, the Hope and Crosby of the preteen superhero set, and the story and words are by Peter J. Tomasi, beautiful art by Max Raynor, colors by Luis Guerrero, letters by Rob Lee, Dave Wygros and Paul Kaminsky are the editors. And this is a great read. This started originally as part of DC's digital campaign, and you can tell it in the way the story is structured. You can see a dividing line halfway across the page. That's because each of those halves were presented as a separate page. This was taken from a thing that Mark Waid did about 10 years ago, where you present the comic image on screen, and you don't have to scroll it. You see it all in one sitting. But anyway, what I loved about the original Super Sons was a strong sense of comedy. Despite the fact that there are earth-shattering events going on, there's real drama. But it's almost like the old Hope and Crosby films where the two are exchanging insults and banter, but they're about to be beheaded, which is kind of serious. But in this one, a mysterious lady appears in the middle of a very boring patrol one night and gives them gives the Super Sons a scroll that they have 1 hour to save the person who is on that scroll. And if they tell anybody, there are penalties. If they get there too late, the person dies. And it is a great way to bring in some name dropping. We see one major DC character in here that's kind of cool. It was just a fun read. It was just so much fun. And this is going to be a 7-issue limited run here. And if anything, it will make you very unhappy that Brian Michael Bendis saw fit to age John Kent up, although John is really good in the current Superman books. But anyway, this is such a fun read. The art is absolutely gorgeous, and original artist Jorge Jimenez, did the cover for it. There is a variant available by Simone DeMeo, but the interaction, this is a very character-driven book. The interaction between John and Damian is priceless, as it is when this book is written at the top of its form, and this is one of them. I think this book is so awesome and such a breath of fresh air from all the grim stuff you read on the stands that I'd give it a 10. I honestly loved it that much. The art is beautiful. The story is fantastic, and I would recommend it to anyone. It is is rated ages 13 and up, and retails for $3.99. Now, if you can't wait, you can get it digitally, half an issue at a time from the DC streaming services or Comixology. But definitely check it out. It is a fun book, and I think we need a lot more of it. Plus, there's a real cool picture of Superman on the back for the Kubert School.
Is that
alone, that's worth $13.99. Sorry?
Is that Jafar from Aladdin on the cover?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? It does look like him. Now
I was like, that's Jafar?
Yeah.
He looks at Damien and says, "It's time to say goodbye, Prince Abubu."
That's right. But the voice of Felix Faust is Gilbert Gottfried. I don't understand it, but anyway. But no, it's they do mention. Like I said, there's a bit of name dropping in here. Like Felix Faust was one of them, and I don't recognize the lady that sent them on their merry way. But let's see if this is the usual. Maybe why I should invest in some tabs too. Oh, and also there is the return of something from the 70s you guys have got to see, and I'm going to give. This is so important that I'm giving it full screen. Yes, and I'm spoilers. Avert your gaze for the next 10 seconds, kids.
Oh.
Yes.
The Supermobile.
Yes. The thing that made absolutely no sense, but still made me happy.
Oh, and it will make you even happier because Damien reacts to.
Oh, he does. He does.
Oh, yes, he does.
Oh, it's perfect.
It is. It is a wonderful book. There are smiles and thrills from first page to last, and I'm already starting to berate my comic dealer for not getting the second issue in before it's even printed. So anyway, that's my review on Challenge of the Super Sons, a really good book from DC.
Nice. I'll go ahead and go.
All right, excellent. Here he comes,
Indeed.
Mr. Brian Rodman.
This week, I just to continue with the pattern of having fun reading comics. I picked up Phantom Starkiller yesterday at the comic book store by Black Caravan, and it's actually an imprint. It's their horror dark fantasy imprint of Scout Comics, and I'll just go ahead and read the very compelling premise. It's from the Black Caravan imprint. For uncounted millennia, the cryptocrystalline stone remained lost to the blackness of space, hidden amongst the stars. As time passed, the galaxy slipped into greater peril. Thousands of systems fell and worlds crumbled. Dark and ominous beings conspire from the shadows to possess its unlimited power and ability to resurrect a legion of deathless warriors. From the vastness of the unknown regions, whispers of his return paralyzed all in fear. Phantom Starkiller, the cosmic ghoul warrior, must now unleash his inner darkness to carry out his master's wishes, all while plotting his revenge, for he cannot stop his interstellar rampage until the curse of the cryptocrystalline stone has been broken. In short, this is a blast. It is so much fun. It is essentially if George Lucas gave John Carpenter a corner of the Star Wars mythos and said, "Have fun, play." It has a lot of Star Wars meets He-Man design. So like the main character himself looks like Luke Skywalker meets Skeletor. Which is so cool. In the entire book, I'm reading the Phantom Starkiller's voice as Skeletor from the 80s cartoon, just because it's so much fun to do so. This book, it starts and ends in an action-packed adventure where Phantom Starkiller, he is a space assassin, and he is on his way to capture this the cryptocrystalline stone. It's been located, and he goes to capture it. And a lot of the issue is just him blasting his way through foes and through obstacles, and he does so very well. And in the middle of it, yes, skeletons, but not skeleton horses. That was from this book. Side note, I picked this up and to see what Eric Hawkins was grumbling about, and I don't know, he was right. So so on to Phantom Starkiller. The artwork is phenomenal. The book is by Peter Gorel and Joseph Schmalk, and both of them are co-writers. Peter Gorel actually colors it, and Joseph Schmalk is the illustrator, and it is lettered by Joel Rodriguez, edited by Sean French, designed by Rich Woodall, and this cover is by Isaac Combs. And it's as you can see, the cover, it's very throwback. It's really cool. Kind of has that old school comics nostalgia feel, and even just the design. If you like, what is it called? From Black Mask, the Space Riders comic. The art style is very similar to that. So a lot of heavy blacks. I love the lettering being incorporated with the artwork there. The story itself is like I said, it's just an action-packed thrill ride from beginning to end. In the middle, you get a very brief origin story that is man, it makes you kind of feel for Phantom Starkiller, but at the same time makes him all the more diabolical, which I love. And let's see here. The ending, this issue kind of works a little bit as a one-shot, but also an introduction to the series that it will become. And let's see, I don't want to spoil the last page here, but this is actually going to be, which I thought was very interesting, which we can talk about later. This is gosh, it's so glossy. Actually, it's the next issue is not a number 2, it's another number 1. And it's a spinoff of this, and it follows Count Draco, his employer, Phantom Starkiller's employer, and I thought that was really interesting. But that's supposed to come out this year, and this is something honestly I thought was so cool. They put in really like old school ads for toys and merch, and honestly like. And all this stuff is available on starkiller.com. And like it is like the old school Star Wars toys. They actually sold out of Phantom Starkiller very quickly, but they still have some Count Draco if you're interested. And in the back of this issue, there's some guest artwork. And some more old school ads. I loved this one. It was so fun, just kind of bringing you into the tone and the world of the series. It just kind of has like a Halloween costume, old school with the plastic masks and everything. This part though was the thing that kind of was just the amazing chocolate coated cherry on top. As you guys know, I love listening to music when I read comics. I try to kind of cultivate the mood of the comic while reading it. And they include a playlist that the creators cultivated on it's the Phantom Star Killer playlist on Spotify. And if you scan that QR code, you can listen to the soundtrack that they handpicked, and it's different, like 80s, dark fantasy horror movie scores that they handpicked just for you to listen to while you're reading this issue. And overall, the story, I don't want to give too much away, but it was, it follows Phantom Star Killer pretty closely. Like I said, it dives into his origins and gives you a little more information. It's not too deep. It's not like a thinking kind of comic. It's very much just read it and have a lot of fun kind of thing. And I do enjoy my comics to be a little more in depth, but this was a breath of fresh air. I had a blast reading it. I didn't notice the QR code in the back until after I read it, which good job on them. Their marketing worked. I actually found the QR code, popped the soundtrack on, and reread it with the soundtrack, which made it so much better. So, if you go out and you get this at your comic book store, scan that QR code in the back first, and you'll have a blast reading. It just really brings you in and adds to the ambiance. Overall, I would give Phantom Star Killer an 8 out of 10. Like I said, it sums it all up. If John Carpenter had a little corner of the Star Wars universe to just completely, create original characters and have fun with, this would be it. And it brings you on a very dark, fun fantasy science fiction ride. So I would absolutely recommend picking this up. 8 out of 10 from the Brian Rodman.
Fantastic. That does sound good. Yeah.
Star Killer was the original name for Skywalker.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of little nuggets in there. Like they were very like the boss, his employer, Draco, looks like a weird version of Darth Vader.
Oh, sure does.
Yeah. So they did a really good job with just taking a little bit, from Star Wars and really the look of all the characters. It's if you took Star Wars and He-Man and put them together. That's the design for a lot of the characters. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. Now, this is very momentous because, Brian, tell them why this trip meant so much. This trip to the comic shop meant so much to you.
Okay, so rarely do I find myself crying at a comic book store, but this week was different. Eric's like, I don't know, man. I do it every week. But
my wife tends to cry when I go into the.
My wife kind of cried after this visit too. But no, I hadn't been inside a store. I really haven't been inside anywhere other than my house and a doctor's office in over a year because of the My Sharona Miley Cyrus Peter pandemic, and this was my first real outing to a store, and I lost my ever-loving mind when I walked in there. I literally grabbed comics like I was going to die tomorrow, and I paid for them afterwards too. But it was so great. I went to Comic Book World of Louisville, which is right down the road from my house. When they found out that that my story, that I was there and it was the first place I'd been in over a year, they celebrated with me. We chatted for a little bit. They were great. They were welcoming, and they actually gave me a $50 off discount card that, once you get down to the end of the punches, you get $50 off. And they went ahead and punched half of it for me. So it was just a really cool experience. I love comic book stores. I love bookstores. Both are my happy place. And the fact that I haven't been able to go inside of one in over a year really hurt, and it really hit. And so, yesterday when I went in there for the first time in so long, my gosh, just the smell, and we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. Everything of a comic book store just hit me. And I was overwhelmed, and it was wonderful, and it was such a great experience. And thank you so much, Comic Book World of Louisville, for providing that, and for also joining in the celebration when you found out. So this was a great experience, and I got enough comics to review for like 3 months, so I am excited. And most of them were all number 1s and number 2s, and it was so cool. I want to add this: most of them that I got were by my friends. It was so cool. It was so cool. A lot of my Source Point Press friends, a lot of my Scout Comics friends. I mean, Joseph Schmalk, I interact with him on Facebook a lot. He and I have gone back and forth. But Kaylin Smith, Garrett Gunn, a lot of those Source Point Press folks. It was just cool to walk around, and everywhere I turned, I saw names. I know these people. I actually know them. I've been to Comic-Cons with them, made jokes with them. We've, some of us have collaborated before. It's just so cool to be in this industry and actually be able to see your friends' works in comic book stores. So cool. So
that's fantastic. That makes me happy. That does. And Brian Hawkins says, I picked up Super Sons too. Let us know what you thought of it, okay? I think you're going to enjoy it, Brian.
I think he said it was crap.
This is Brian Hawkins' last appearance on the show. I don't care if you know someone on the panel.
Brian's not on the show. Oh.
Well, speaking of the Hawkins family, I'm going to let him take another drink. Everybody take a drink now. You're entitled. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, who wants to go next? I know. What you got for us, Eric?
I got another Image book. Did I do Image last week? I sure did, which is unusual. I haven't bought a lot of Image since the 90s.
Jeez,
I got boxes of that crap.
If you love Image so much, why don't you marry him? Jeez.
So does every comic shop that's more than 20 years old. They've also got a box full of Image too.
More than one, I'm sure. So I picked up Jules Verne's Lighthouse by Image Comics. It's basically based on his 1905 novel and a 1971 movie that was based on the novel. I believe he wrote it in 1901, but died before it came out. And if you read anything about the book or know anything about the book, this story is going to follow along quite a bit with it, even though this is set in the future and in space. So a little different there. But other than that, it's a $4.99 book, but you are getting 48 pages. It's rated mature. It is drawn by, I gotta remember the names because I've heard the names. Brian Haberlin. It's written by David Hine and Brian Haberlin. Colors by Gerardo Van Dyke and letters by Francis Tekanaga. And look, I put a post-it in it because I want to show something later. So, it starts out basically the lighthouse is a supercomputer on this asteroid in the middle of space where all these wormholes converge and people travel through it. So it's to keep everybody safe when they get there from their specific wormhole to the next wormhole they go to. There's only like 4 people on it. I think there's the captain, 2 women. There's 5 people, 4 people and a robot. The robot is not in the original book, and the robot's name is Moses, and he's kind of like the caretaker of one of the other characters. And he has raised her since she was little, raised her mom, raised her grandma. He's basically been the protector of the family through several generations, except for when the main character left for the Navy. He couldn't go with her, so he had to stay home. And that brings up part of the plot here is something happened while she was in the Navy and had this vicious battle of some kind where she was a hero, but she won't talk about it. Moses, the robot, knows something happened in that battle, but she won't talk about it, and then they just keep avoiding that. So I'm sure it's going to come up sooner or later, but there's only going to be 5 issues. It's not an ongoing series, just a limited series. Basically, the original book was about pirates and a lighthouse. This has space pirates and a lighthouse. Space pirates come up, act like they're damaged, their ship, they need help, but alarms start sounding because they show up in a wormhole that is not recognized by the supercomputer, and all the other wormholes are listed down, and they know of all of them. They show up out of this one. No ship has ever looked like this. They come out, pretend to be damaged. of course, they come down to the lighthouse. I don't know if they beam aboard. I don't think they beamed aboard, but the captain said, I've got a bunch of injured people. Can they come over? And, oh, yeah, we'll help you out. Especially after the captain said, well, we got alcohol we can bring to you, too. Okay. So he avoids the prime directive and lets them come aboard. And right away they attack him. But the main character, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. It's the same. And all the characters' names the same as in the book, too. But I think they've been gender swapped, which is no big deal. Vasquez? I think it's Vasquez. Vasquez. It is Vasquez because I was thinking of aliens. And Moses. But speaking of skeleton horses, it's not quite a horse. It's kind of a unicorn.
What?
And it's kind of got armor. It's an alien. Let's say it's an alien skeleton horse.
They're following you around, Eric.
I think they are.
They're currying your favor.
So Vasquez and Moses are the only ones that escape the incoming pirates. And sorry if you heard my vibrating on my phone. I had to mute it.
I just figured you were farting.
They're the only ones that escape, but there's nowhere to escape to. They're all stuck on this, this asteroid. So basically, that's how the story goes for the most part. It's very the art is really good, but it's almost I almost say it's almost too good. That the coloring doesn't match the inking for me. And but the coloring is beautiful, and the inking and the penciling, all of it's great, but just it almost looks like it doesn't look right. And I'm going to show you a weird. The captain of the lighthouse is kind of pudgy, and they all wear these skin-tight outfits. So, let's see. Oh, there we go. There we go. Right. Okay.
I know what I'm wearing for Halloween now.
Yeah, so
as soon as I get off the show.
Needs bigger word
and over here, here's Moses, the robot. I mean, you see, the colors are great. And the art is wonderful. I love it, but it almost doesn't match on some of the pages and kind of distracts you a bit. It's definitely digitally colored, but everything's digitally colored nowadays. But it gives off a very digital feel to the color because it's so smooth and painted. And let's see, there is a lot with Vasquez and the Moses here. And I was thinking, I thought there was there's some curse words in it, so I'd watch it if you wanted to give it to kids. But overall, it's a really good book, and here's a go. Here's a double page splash. Now there you can see there's something here that's not quite right. All the pages are off about a quarter of an inch.
Oh.
So this double page spread has a big white line down the middle of it because it's a wraparound from one of the other pages. I didn't even notice that until I got to that page, though. So it's not that bad on most of it because it's all the panels. Some of them are offset and stuff like that, so you don't notice it so much. But really, the art is so good, and the story's really well written. It's not dumbed down or anything like that. It reads very well, and the characters are very interesting. The way they talk, they all have different personalities, unlike you see in some comics where everything's just the same and just people writing stuff down, it seems like. This one really works, and I really liked it. I liked it quite a bit, and I'm actually going to say, of everything I've reviewed so far in this, what episode are we on, Brian? 7, 8?
Number 8.
8. Holy crap. I liked Geiger last week, too, except for that one little thing. I'm giving this a 10. I'm going to give it a 10.
Nice. Even with the white line.
That's not, that's the printer's fault. It's not, I'm sure he didn't draw the white line down there. Or the writer said he put a white line down here and just messed with everybody's minds. But yeah, the art, I really love the art. Even though it is kind of, I don't think the colors match the inking in that, but really, it's beautiful. I like it.
Cool.
And even the back, it's not a sketch cover, but it's just kind of plain.
Huh.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm going to give it a 10, and I'm gonna get the rest of the series. I liked it. It just came out this week, brand new book, and is scheduled every month for the next 4 months.
Okay, so it is a limited series.
Yeah, 5 issues.
Okay, excellent. And I looked up your writers, why they sound familiar to me. They both worked on Spawn with Todd McFarlane.
Okay.
And David Hine has been actually doing some stuff for 2000 AD and has also writes for Marvel.
Oh, did he do some Judge Dredd?
Didn't. I'm looking here. Atomica Press. He did Crisis. The British version of it, not the. Well, he's also been an artist. He drew Tau de Modo in 1991, and drew the futuristic police series Mambo from 1994 to 96. This is off of his Wikipedia, but he's also done X-Men, the 198 Civil War X-Men, Silent War, Spawn, Poison Candy, wrote 4 issues of The Brave and Bold, just as Radical Comics has done.
That explains why the writing was so good. He's been around and he knows what he's doing. Yeah.
I mean, and he also helped create Spider-Man Noir. So,
I love Spider-Man.
I do like Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah,
I like that. So, excellent. That sounds good. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your reviews. I appreciate that. And Carl Witzman weighs in on the sound we heard earlier. I thought it was the lighthouse sound. You just keep thinking that. And
there it is again.
It's my upside down Australian cow. And good morning. Hello, Teresa. I'm glad you're here for us. Good interview tonight with Lacey Lemke. Yes. Okay.
I am being told we can barely hear Brian Morris. He is much quieter than you guys.
Really? Okay, hold on a second here. I can do some editing. No, not on that. Hold on a second. Anyway, I'll talk louder. How's that?
There you go.
All right.
Use your stage voice, Brian.
Okay. Hi there, I'm Brian. Okay, anyway.
No, wrong stage.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize that. And don't hit the rocks. And love
stage number 2.
So fine, I won't shut up. You people have asked for it. Ted, we're glad you love the show. Now, you may not think much of it from this point on.
We're about to take a cliff dive.
That's right. Screaming power dive. At this point, a lot of times when we talk about digital versus the floppies or the graphic novels, the conversation inevitably goes to, but you don't get the smell from those old comics. Well, I've got a room downstairs where I keep my comics, and it's walking into a pepper spray shower. The tears begin. It's a treat for all the senses. But it was brought up during conversation between the 4 of us this last week. Maybe we should review our smelliest comics.
And it was brought up during Clever Title Pending, which you can watch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. On the Rising Tide Network on YouTube and Facebook. # promote your friends.
# thank you. And tune in this coming Tuesday when we have comic creator Ted Sikora talking about Bloom. It will be fun. So anyway, we were all challenged, more so than usual, to find 5 of our smelliest comics. And I have gone into the vault and picked out, I actually have 6 because one may wind up being a cheap joke if I mention it. And so anyway, who would like to lead off the discussion? Eric.
Okay, I just grabbed books at random because I want to see what they smelled like. Now, my allergies have been bothering me, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick up all the scents, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to put this one back because I don't think it'll have much of a smell.
Yeah.
Too new. That one will. This one's a image, so Probably not too much of a smell, but I always show the Battle Chasers variant.
Always in good taste.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Darn. Okay, 2 of these. One I'm keeping for Brian. One I'm keeping for Clyde. I hate to put this one back, but I'll show the cover. Predator number 4, big game. So 1, 2, 3. Darn, still got 6. Okay, well, I'm going to do it. I'm putting Ghost back. I bet it's got some good smell. So here's what we're going to start off with. This one is for Brian Rodman. Let's see, we can't see too much on the back.
Let's say the suspense is killing me.
Oh,
No.
got some earthy tones there. A hint of a zipatone.
Ooh.
Oh, it's a nice newsprint, definitely, and it's December 1990 vintage, and it's a special issue, a one-shot.
Ooh.
Nice.
The Michelangelo Christmas special.
Oh, that's amazing.
Highly recommended. Ooh.
Make that into a cologne.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the next one, Mr. Morris, I'm sorry, I don't think I have any DC books. I know that's your favorite.
That's okay. I'll make up for you.
I think you'll like one of the other ones I picked. This one's for Clyde. Let me see if anything's... Oh, I can't show the back of it yet. I might give it away. Oh, very similar smell. The earthy wood tone. This one has a hint of chocolate. Definitely a black and white book as well. And I am not sure the vintage on this one, but we are going to look. And it is... I can't find the year. Oh, it is 1990 as well, by Warp Graphics. Does Clyde know what it is?
No.
Oh.
Well, Clyde.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
cool.
should have known. What
Thought
graphics?
so.
Nice.
And advertising the next issue on the back.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I've got a whole bunch of those. I didn't realize I had so many of them. Now let's see. The next 3 are Marvel. And okay, this one, because of the news that came out this week of what book will be coming back out in July, I am looking forward to. Does anyone know what it is?
Not yet.
This one's from 1980. It's got a beautiful Lego ad on the back.
Ooh.
Full color.
Ooh.
Number 1 issue.
1980.
First appeared in Werewolf by Night.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
So yeah, they're bringing back Moon Knight in July 7th, I do believe. It's going to continue apparently the story that ran in the Avengers books, Age of Khonshu, where he basically beat up all Avengers, took their powers, and imprisoned Khonshu.
Well, now it's a
Nice.
party.
Trade paperback is available. I just found that out. And you really don't get the same smell if it's not on newsprint. This one's a little tangy. This one's a little tangy. This one is, oh man, what year is this one? Oh, this one's a little newer, 87. Got a beautiful Dragonlance ad on the back.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
And it has a more, it's a tangier odor to it, but definitely that newsprint. And we have Silver Surfer number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, number 1.
Marshall
Very
Rogers,
cool.
I think.
Is Ron Lim doing it? No. Hold on. So weird touching the. Oh, it is Marshall Rogers. Ron Lim picked up later on in the series, I believe.
Right. Yeah. Oh, nice.
Newsprint's so weird to touch anymore. And my final book, which has always been one of my favorite series. But since I was too young to get the earlier ones, I had to go for the classic versions when they came out. And this one, I can't show the back. Oh, sadly, it's really cut crooked. But this one came out. When did it originally come out? Does that tell me that? Well, this came out in '87, but obviously it was earlier than that when the original one came out. A little classic X-Men.
Yes.
Which was great picking these up when I was younger, because '87, I was in high school in '87. But then you had the older story in the back, then you had a newer story. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones too. This is the backup story is Tag Sucker.
Sweet.
Which is where Sabretooth, you find out Sabretooth hunts down Wolverine every year on his birthday just to torment him. They rip out his throat and leave him for dead.
Because nothing says I love you.
Yeah. And wait, one more. I'm not gonna smell it, but you know what I'm gonna do with it.
Do it.
I can't throw it this week.
Why not?
They've started showing up to backers this week.
What?
People are actually starting to get them now. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, seriously, Eric.
I'm serious.
Wow.
Yep. A friend of mine put up a review today. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah. So, yep.
Very.
That's
cool.
it. That's man. That just went right through those allergies. Whew. Pungent.
Beautiful.
Well, I'll go next. I'm not going to go as in depth as Eric did. However, I want to start us off with something specifically for the Brian K. Morris in us. And let's see this one. Oh yes, it smells like fanboy anger and tears. And that is Brian, or it's Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder All-Star by Frank Miller and Jim Lee, and that's what we think about that.
Hey, wait a minute. That's the what Batman? I believe.
Do what?
I'm the GD Batman.
Oh yeah, it's
That's
that
the one.
Gosh, I didn't want to throw that too hard because that is the only individual issue that I own, because it does have the 4-page spread of Jim Lee's drawing of the Batcave. And
yes,
that was why I bought it. Actually, let me fish it away from my stack over here. Let me just kind of show this off, because this was gorgeous. So this was the entire reason that I bought this issue when it came out. Oh gosh, it's not a 4-page, it's a 5. Or wait, can I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's 6. I can't count. So yeah,
it's growing.
Yeah. So there it is. Jim Lee's Batcave.
The only
right here.
reason to buy this series.
Yeah. And
wait, the series never completed, did it?
No, it never did. He never finished it.
Thank God.
Yeah, Frank Miller never finished it, and I think it ended on issue 13 actually, and that was it. I got the first trade. It was supposed to be, I think, like 2 or 3 trades long, and he just stopped. I think that might have actually been when he started getting sick. So I think that was probably the case, because I think he had a bout with cancer or something. I can't remember.
Yeah. I think
yeah. So this one is this is actually a special one for me, because I dug this comic, and it smells like my old comic book store that I used to go to that's no longer around. I kept it in a long box, that a bunch of books that I got from there, and it still kind of smells like that store. If you look at the back of it, you got a nice Batmobile owner's manual ad right there. Now I don't know if many people did not read this story. It kind of flew under the radar. It's another story that takes place in Gotham City, and I don't know if you guys remember Simon Dark.
Oh yeah.
It was a supernatural hero. Batman had gone missing, and he kind of comes out and of the underbelly of Gotham, and he lived in the sewers with all the supernatural monsters and everything, and really it dove into the supernatural side of Gotham City, and that was just a really cool take on a familiar place, but with introducing a new character. And I am going to throw out the newsprint edition, all of Alterna Comics. There's just nothing like that smell. There's really not. You just the fresh ink. No comic smells like newsprint smells. That is quite possible. And honestly, like, I've wanted to find a printer that can do newsprint for a decent price for my book, simply because this is what it feels like to read a comic, and it smells like comics, because I grew up with newsprint. We all did, so there's just nothing quite like that sense. Now, these are some treasures that I found. This one, ooh, it's musky. Oh man,
full body.
Oh, yeah, my goodness, it smells like old library corners. If you just, the corner of the library that kind of stinks, but it still smells like books. This is what this smells like, and it should, because it's mad at the movies, or mad about the movies, and all black and white. All the classic movies. My favorite one in here. Oh wow, I flipped right to it. Look at that. My favorite one in here is the spoof of The Exorcist that they did. It is quite possibly, The Exorcist, and it is quite possibly one of the funniest spoofs ever. But the whole book, it just collects all of their movie comic spoofs. From The Exorcist to Gremlins to George Clooney's Batman, which is a spoof in and of itself. And let's see. My next one is something that's a little controversial these days. We may get kicked off the air now. I'm not sure. Smells like
you get your Thursday nights back.
Yeah. Smells like social justice warrior tears. And World War II editorial cartoons. It is Dr. Seuss Goes to War. Actually, it's really awesome. It shows just how much this man hated Nazis. I absolutely love his I didn't know growing up that he did political cartoons and during World War II, and it is quite possibly one of the best books that I have, and I actually forgot I had it. So I'm kidding about the social justice warrior tears, by the way, but it does smell like this one smells similar to the Mad magazine comic book. Now this one, everyone's gonna be happy with. Oh, this one smells like it once belonged on a newspaper. Oh, look like I'm doing lines. And this is a collection of the Batman Daily comic book strip.
Yes.
It's still in the traditional format of the Sunday paper. So it's really awesome. And honestly, like, I know it's weird, but hey, we're all weird, right? Like, I love smelling books. I think that's like earlier when I talked about walking into the comic book store, that smell, just kind of that aroma just wafted all over me. And that was honestly a part of the reasons that I kind of cried at that point. Like, I was like, oh, I miss it, because like the old childhood scents that you forget about, and then you get a whiff of something and all these memories come back to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what it's like when I pick up a newsprint comic. That's half the reason I ended up getting into Alterna Comics, because every time I opened one, I was like, I'm 8 years old again. This is great. So, but yeah, those are my sniffable comics this week.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Brian. And we've got some comments. Grant Lankard says, Cookie has been wishing for years that she couldn't hear Brian. That's true. And comic book related cologne is a great idea. I know I'd be wearing that stuff if they had it. And Carly,
you want to repel women? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it
No,
smells
he said
bad
he
in your
said
gut.
comic book cologne, not Comic Con cologne.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
Comic-Con cologne is banned by the Geneva Convention. So, no,
No, 60% of the time it works every time.
that's true. That's true. I think Curly just summed up this show in one line.
Oh, there it is.
For less grilling at a strip show. All right. And good evening, Historical Fencing Guild, Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network and YouTube. Good evening, delayed by Bison. Love Erica Kind. Thanks, sucker. And this is a cool concept, though. And hello, Cindy Cap. How you doing? CKOEPP.com. Sign up. And I absolutely love the old black and white vividness of those old newsprint comics as the Historical Fencing Guild. I reviewed a black and white comic last week. I still love black and white, so I love seeing the line work on it. As good as coloring can be at times. So Clyde, you want to do yours next?
Sure.
Go for it.
All right. So I just pulled out a big stack of comics and started to go through them willy-nilly, and I was really surprised at the ones that had the most distinct bouquet. So one of them that was a surprise is from the early 70s, the DC Tarzan digest size.
Oh, yeah.
I loved this as a kid because it had a Great Ape translations where you could. I would run around at school, going Bomangani and Bugato and
Kriega,
so that was a
Manolo.
cool one. Yeah. But this has a rich, loamy pulp paper smell. Of course, it has a Joe Kubert cover, so all of it's wrapped in that kind of Kubert goodness. And there's something a little bit beneath it. It's kind of like, it's not a chemical cocktail, but it's a little bit of a tang that I think is because this has got binding, unlike a normal comic. It's not stapled. I think it might be from that.
Yeah.
But it's not unpleasant. It just adds a little bit more to the nostalgic smell of it. That's one. This was a big surprise because it's a very modern book. This isn't even 10 years old, I don't believe. And this is The Shadow Warrior, which is a trade paperback. It is First Second Comics. And it's the Green Turtle, who is arguably, but possibly the first Chinese-American superhero. Yes. And so this has got wonderful artwork. It's a great story. If you haven't read it, it is definitely worth picking up. But I cracked that open, and I smelled some other trade paperbacks and some other bigger books like this. Nothing had any real scent to it. But this was like opening a clean, new box of crayons. It has a little bit of that crayon smell about it. And it was really nice. You're talking about a cologne. I would probably make a cologne out of this if we were going to make olfactory comic book cologne. Okay, now, this one, not too surprising. This is probably the stinkiest out of all of it, but...
Oh, yeah, give it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. This is super stinky. This is old sump pumps. This is the tang of wet basements. It is old newsprint and pulpy paper that is just one side of starting to, I don't know. It looked fine, but I'm like, if I've just got a whiff of that, I would think, oh no, the stack of newspapers is about to go bad. And I think that there was a hint of rat or mouse droppings in it. I just
Delicious.
So it smells like our base. I'm sorry.
Did you give it a little taste, Clyde, just to make sure?
I did not. No spine licking on this one because I've been well. I don't want to be unwell.
Salmonella is a real problem.
Yeah, but this does remind me of the basement I had at one of the homes I grew up in. It really did. And that's, again, you're talking about nostalgia and taking you back. That is a place where I would go to read comics sometimes. So there you go. Now, just so Brian is happy, I actually didn't think I had a DC comic in mind, but I do. This is my second favorite.
Whoa.
Battle Age for Hero. Yes.
Whoa.
DC Silver Age. This has a very pleasant, inky smell. There is absolutely no loamy pulpiness about the paper. It's just that ink and a little bit of furniture polish. It smells like your grandma's house. Little furniture polish.
A little bit of mothballs in there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Is it a little bit of mothballs in there?
No. This is like somebody that cleaned every day, and maybe in the closet they would have had mothballs, but you don't ever put your comic books in the closet. They're going to be out there on where you can get to them on the telephone table or someplace. And that's kind of what we used to have, a telephone table, and I put my comics under there, and I'm like, yeah, because Mom would spray that with furniture polish, and I kind of just a hint of that, but yeah. Okay, now the big surprise. Because this is an old enough comic to be in the running. It's late 60s, but I hadn't really thought about it until I took a whiff.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Yes.
Yes, this is one of the original Dell monster superhero comics, Frankenstein #1. Now, I have Dracula #1, but it's like Dell would do, they would bring them out every few years. And that was a 15 cents, so it's not the same era exactly. No smell. Not one iota of a whiff of nothing. Oh. But this one is the best. This smells like rich pulp paper, plus equally aromatic smorgasbord of ink. It smells like it just came off the presses. It is so vivid. And I don't know what it is exactly, but there's an undercurrent of like an old attic. Maybe slightly musty, just a little bit, not tangy, not like assaulting your nose, but it just has that kind of an older smell, like maybe it was stored in an attic before. But I think this is my favorite of all of them.
That's nice. That's great. Yeah, I remember those very fondly, reading them when they came out and thinking, the Frankenstein monster is going to do superhero stuff. Okay, I'll buy that. So he just puts on a rubber mask and people buy it. He's disguised. That's almost as good as a pair of glasses. So
yeah,
damn it. Thank you, Clyde. That's awesome. That is so cool. Historical Fencing Guild says Comic-Con cologne is just stale Axe body spray. PO and desperation. I think you nailed it there. Now, Cindy Camp has some in-depth questions here. Does it serve better cold or room temperature? Or do you need to aerate it first? Should it breathe? Red meat or fish go better? And
mine go best with bologna sandwiches.
Mine too, but you fry the bologna first. That's the only difference.
There you go. Yeah. And she knows all about the Tanga Wet Basement along with Carl. So okay, now here we go. Here goes my group. Now I did pick a couple of these deliberately because they lent themselves to cheap humor. But I also got a couple. I'm like, wait a minute, this smells to high heaven, and it's wonderful. All right, first of all, we'll do like everyone else. I'll take the whole screen here, and we're gonna start with this. It's on sale now.
I don't believe you.
It's true. It's true. Damn it. Let's see. This positively reeks of missed a trend by 1 year. No, wait, 2 years. Oh my God, no! And it smells like a definite undertone of Electric Boogaloo. Okay, we are talking about a comic book. There was a 2-issue series from Kitchen Sink Press in the I think it's the late 80s. Called The World's Worst Comic Books. And they detailed a number of comic books put out by various publishers that were dreadful for one reason or the other. This won the whole thing. This was considered the worst comic book ever produced. It is from Pacific Comics, 1983, November, if you want to get picky. It was a very good month. Skate Man. by Neil
yeah.
Adams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And as you can see, no expense was spared. And this is like, how do you keep an idiot busy for hours? Turn to the first page. How do you keep an idiot busy for hours? Look at the cover. Yeah, this is a bit past the roller disco era, and of course Neil Adams reminds us that why as an artist or as a writer he's a great artist. Sample dialogue, I'm not making this up either. Ay, Dios míos, skate man. What the hell? Oomph! And then a sound effect, aroma, which is kind of predates my upside down Australian cow. And now here we go. The hero now. The hero. Hands off, jerkhole. The party's over. We're forming a union. My foot and your face.
Oh my
gosh. And as you go through, if you're familiar with the line work of Mr. Adams, the first thing that pops up is the fact that I don't think he drew it. Aside from maybe the cover, maybe the layouts. Now, this is before he started doing continuity comics, and he had a team of people like Mike Nasser, Trevor Von Eden, and such, who were helping him do the comics. This is a story that is just... there is virtually no redeeming factor to it. The coloring is garish. Yeah. And it encourages you to do things like get your skates on and hang from the bumper of a sports car. Yeah, that's good. Way to influence the kids of America. And about the only thing that's worthwhile on this is that the inks and letters from the second story, which have nothing to do with Skate Man in this thing called Future World, are by Andy Kubert.
Ooh.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
So, distinct Kubert. In fact, Jack Arata did the layout and the story, and I believe he's a Kubert school graduate as well. And then a Rock Warrior by Paul S. Power rather, and so fortunately, I think Neil learned his lesson from producing self-indulgent, ill-prepared comics, and he got completely out of his system, and he never strayed from the path again. Damn it, get down there. Anyway.
So it both stinks and smells funny? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Now, it's funny you should talk about smelling funny, because we've got another one. This one, oh God, oh Jesus. Oh, this one will cure. Now, this is not the cover of the book.
Okay.
The back page ad. It does have Jim O'Barr.
Yeah.
That's Jim O'Barr. Yeah.
Jim O'Barr. Yeah.
Okay. After he did The Crow. Now, one of the things was Comico was a short-lived company in the 80s into the 90s. And, of course, one of the better comics they produced, in my opinion, was one called The Elementals, written and drawn initially by Bill Willingham of Fables fame. It was very thoughtful, very intelligent. The art was beautiful. And then a new buyer, then somebody bought up Comico. And, of course, what would you do if you wanted to pay homage to a very thoughtful, almost intellectual superhero book, but turned into a softcore porn?
Oh,
this is the Elemental Sex Special #2, because apparently #1 didn't get it out of their system. Tony Akins drew part of this, and I'm sure he's done some sort of atonement since then. There is an ad for a cover of a Elementals comic that did not come out, but it's by Walt Simonson in black and white. That's one of the few things I can show you about this book. Oh dear. And then they advertised another book that didn't come out, Texas Chainsaw Massacre adaptation. It's just going from strength to strength here. And there's two, and Kelly Jones has an ad in here. There's a lot of ads from people you've heard of, but this is this book.
I bought it for the articles.
Yeah. I'm on for the staples. Yeah. I sure didn't. This is the sort of thing that will. This is given to porn addicts to make them give up. You know what I'm saying?
When they went belly up, didn't they go belly up owing a lot of creators a lot of money?
Yeah, they did. They did. In fact, I did an article a number of years ago for Back Issue Magazine, and the guy. Bill Willingham actually went into the office after the new guy bought it, Andrew Rev, and wanted to buy the rights to Elementals back to save him from more of this crap. And he found basically the whole file that Andrew Rev had kept of all the stuff dealing with the Elementals. It was propping up one of the legs of a desk he was using. So Willingham just kind of turned around, and walked out. So we'll go on to some better smelling stuff. Let's see. Now we got one here from 1969.
Ooh.
And it's not bad.
Was it the summer of '69?
No. If only. It was December, and it smells of usually poor printing. They tried so hard, and wait till I tell you who drew it. This is a classic King Features character, Jungle Jim.
Nice.
Number 27. And this had run as like a comic book from Dell Comics for a number of years. Then Charlton took it up for about 7 issues. Now, they had some... this one here, now, the art may look familiar. This is by the then editor-in-chief, Sal Gentili. That's not bad. But when you open it up, any Ditko fans out there?
Huh.
Wow.
Any Wally Wood fans out there? The story is supposedly written and possibly laid out by Bob Stewart, but this is Ditko and Wood.
Wow.
Tasty stuff. Tasty stuff. And in fact, the Charlton run, they did a couple more issues, supposedly, I would guess, out of Wally Wood's studio. But and there's some usual backup one-pagers here that are, in-house Charlton stuff. But other issues had Don Perlin of Shadow Man fame, drawing and lettering and stuff. Really nice stuff. But anyway, this is good stuff. Now we've got another one here. Now, A or B? First one, A or B?
C.
C it is. Okay. Here we go. Now this one, this is old. This one is September of 1954. This is actually older than I am.
Wow.
Okay? And oh my God. This will bring tears to your eyes for a number of reasons. This is in the shape of what a friend of mine called UTBM, used to be mint. It has seen some love, but we've talked about Westerns on this show. This is the Mac Daddy.
Hopalong Cassidy.
Hoppy.
Yeah, starring William Boyd. DC, when Fawcett went out of business, bought up a lot of their licenses, including like Captain Marvel and the Marvel family, etc. But Hopalong Cassidy was in that package. They'd been published by Fawcett before then, and it has Buzzy with artwork by Win Mortimer, who drew the Legion of Superheroes for a while, called "Work Can Be Fun." So this book is filled with utter lies. But anyway. I'm going to show you a couple pages here, and it may look somewhat familiar.
Wow.
Gene Colan drawing Hopalong Cassidy. In fact, he draws all of the main stories. This particular story was inked by Ray Burnley. His brother Jack was the original artist on Starman. Then later on, he draws Hoppy again, but this one is inked by Joe Giella, who inked Batman, Superman, Justice League for a number of years. Mary Worth did the Mary Worth strip. And then the last story was inked by Bernard Sachs, who inked the very early issues of the Justice League of America, among other tales. All the stories were written by John Broome, who wrote Batman, the Atomic Knights, a slew of science fiction stories, and it was edited, although he's not credited, it was edited by Julie Schwartz.
Oh,
Julie
wow.
Schwartz did Westerns. He did that in All-Star Western. I found this out through comics.org, which is the Grand Comics database. So you can check it out on your own, boys and girls. And then here's one. I can't show you the back cover. There is none. Oh, but this smells of history. Oh, classic design. And I believe it's John Broome again. And wait a second. I'm getting a hint of Golden Age. Okay.
Wow.
Flash number 160.
Yeah.
All right. The 25-cent, 80-page giant. And you can see this one's had an owner who apparently didn't like Barry Allen's face much. So Steve Patton, wherever you are, thank you for the autograph. But it starts out with The Amazing Race Against Time by Carmine Infantino and the aforementioned Joe Giella. And it's followed by, oh, you'll love this, The Golden Age Flash by Lee Elias with the fiddler. A full story there. And then followed by The First Trickster.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's not getting any worse, kids, is it? And also a pinup of the Flash. Best wishes from Barry Allen. Well, way to go, Barry! You revealed your damn secret identity. Plus a Kid Flash tale.
King of the Beatniks.
Oh yeah. Wally
Is it
West.
Kid Flash in the little Flash outfit, or has he got the?
No, this is the one that is the mirror to his
Barry's?
mentor, the Flash. That
Yeah.
is Wally West you're seeing running there.
Wow.
Plus, it actually gives you his origin in one panel instead of a 20-issue maxi series. And the next one, aside from Cap's hobby hints, I always love those, and an ad for the Justice League of America, it also has a team up with not just the Flash, Captain Boomerang, and the elongated man, Ralph Dibny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and of course, Steve loved himself. He loved himself so much. And,
You know what? Hey, at least he didn't suffer from imposter syndrome, right?
not in the least, apparently. In fact, he's written it on several pages. You know, and then you close out the book with a beautiful, somebody who's incredibly underrated. He used to work in the Simon and Kirby studios and did a lot of stuff with Jerry Robinson, including Black Terror and stuff. But the one, the only, Johnny Quick and his magic formula.
Nice.
My favorite speedster from the era.
Oh yeah,
Love
yeah.
Johnny Quick.
It's you know it's lovely. The reproduction is wonderful, and there is also a house ad for the new book called The Teen Titans. Dial H for Hero.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve Savage Balloon Buster with some Joe Kubert art, and then again talk about Lee Elias, Ultra the Multi-Alien. All right, and those are my smellers of the evening. But you know that just the talk about good reading. You know that Flash annual is it. You know
That's cool. The Flash is a moment between Wally and Barry is credited to literally making me ugly cry while reading a comic. It was the Birthright 80-page one shot by Jeff Johns when Barry Allen remembers who Wally West is to prevent him from becoming one with the Speed Force. I lost my mind.
I did too.
My goodness, I cried.
I cried on that one. That was so well done.
A beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Well, you've upped the ante, so I'm going to have to show you what my sixth one was going to be, but it doesn't smell as loudly as the others, so I had put it off to the side. But it does have the old paper smell, and it has maybe a little bit of like suntan lotion or something, but it's really, really light.
Yes.
However,
Ooh,
wow.
Oh,
yes,
Captain Marvel, 1940s. Let's see, 1952, and we got CC Beck art.
Nice.
And yeah,
Very
it's a nice. It is a very nice example of the stuff that they were putting out right as they were outselling Superman. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really.
Clyde?
I'm sorry.
What year is that from? I'm sorry.
It's
52.
1952.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's beautiful, Clyde.
Yeah, 131, 1952. But it just doesn't have. It doesn't overwhelm with the scent. It's a real light scent. So the others were much more either the basement stinky or wow, this really has a nostalgic smell about it. And this one is light, but it's a very cool comic. So
that is nice.
That's
nice.
a really cool comic.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Yeah.
I don't have very many Golden Age or older comics like that, but that's one that I prize.
Well, I don't blame you. Yeah, I think probably if we were in the same room, probably my Hopalong Cassidy would drive you all out of the room. But I do have one bit of comic. Yeah, I do have one bit of comic history I want to share with you all. My Flash, I had it in a plastic bag. I had it in the original plastic bag.
Oh, wow.
This is from Robert Bell, who I believe, from what my research has yielded, he was the first person to manufacture protective comic bags. Now he didn't do. I'm serious now.
Yeah,
and it's amazing how many of these I've got. I held that paper in there so you get an idea. But you can see this thing is probably safely 50 years old.
Wow.
Okay. And look how you can still see
clear.
through it.
Yeah, I thought it might be like yellowed or discolored or foggy or something.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of discoloration, as you can see, but you compare that to bags that you bought say 15 years ago.
Yeah. And
you're practically watching them cloud up and stick to each other, while you're holding them. But these original Robert Bell ones, and you got them for $3 per 100.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you add a 50 cents for postage on orders under $5, and they only made them for current books at the time. They eventually did do Golden Age after a while.
Wow.
But yeah, and I found that I was such a cheapskate. You could put 5 regular size comics in that. So, but anyway, that's a little bit of comic history for all y'all. That's
really cool.
Neat.
I thought you guys would enjoy it. And Cindy Campa says, smells like Teen Spirit. That's not quite what Hopalong smells like.
But now I have to go listen to that song, so there we go.
I know. Well, she's also got another one for you. Ooh, that smell. Can't you smell that smell? Ooh, that smell. The smell of death surrounds you. No, that's me. That's just me. And Joe Dog
Comic-Con smell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like I still want to know that the government was Johnny on the spot about this My Sharona Miley Cyrus nonsense, but where were they during con crud season? It's a conspiracy. I'm telling you.
I need a cure for comic crud. Comic Con crud. It gets me every time, and now every time I'm going to think I have COVID. So we need to do something about this. So I'm going to go home and be like, I can't taste what's happening. Oh, no.
Yeah. There's a couple of these books on the corner of this desk here that I wish I had lost my sense of smell before I pulled them out. I mean, Hopalong, the years have not been kind to Hoppy, but it's still such a good read. And Joe Dog McKeel, who's on tonight at Stupid O'Clock at 9 p.m. Please check that out. It's the great after convention hours conversation you love. I am looking for the Shazam Captain Marvel Ghost of Chattanooga. Well, the thing is, during the 40s, Cap, and in fact, they did it for a while with the 70s Shazam series. Captain Marvel used to go to different cities. And they would show off the local sites, like they go to Philadelphia. Oh, there's the Liberty Bell sort of thing, and they did that for a couple of years. Hashtag pandering. So
remember when he came back in the 70s and they did a St. Louis one with the Mr. Mind,
Yes.
and he took the arch and twanged it to make all the worms come up out of the ground. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that stuff is good. I love that silly stuff. Not serious stuff like nuclear winters that go on for 3 years and don't kill anyone. But anyway, we had another topic, and thank you everyone for your participation. We do appreciate it, and let us know what your smelliest comic is in your collection. We'd be interested in that. So Brian had another idea this week.
Yeah, I didn't know. I know it's it's an hour and 45. I didn't know if you'd want to save that or if we want to talk about it this week. We totally can.
Let's do a quick conversation on that.
Yeah,
Let's go for a full 2.
No problem. So I just perfect example. Going back into Phantom Star Killer, fantastic book. Absolutely love it. Had a ton of fun reading it, and I got to the end of it, and I noticed, like I said earlier, there was an ad for a spinoff series already that was at number 1. And they had a ton of merch, they had a couple of action figures, a lot of t-shirts and enamel pins and cool stuff. I honestly I really kind of want one of these action figures because it reminds me of the really old school, Star Wars toys, and it's just really fun. However, I kind of scoured the internet a little bit last night, trying to find when number 2 is supposed to come out. There's nothing on it that I can find, at least. I went to, Scout Comics website. I, kind of perused some just, articles about Phantom Star Killer. And there's nothing about an issue 2. And I've noticed that that's becoming kind of a trend. A lot of times, and Scout Comics is doing this with a few of their books. They'll have, I think this one had on their website, there's 8 variant covers that have been released, not at the same time, just different times. And this itself is a 3rd printing of Phantom Star Killer. And I know they're doing a similar thing with Murder Hobo, their series, which is hilarious. I bought issue 1, but again, they did with the Murder Hobo. They just released a spinoff series at issue number 1, and there is no issue number 2 for Murder Hobo yet. And Murder Hobo came out 2 years ago. So I'm starting to see a trend where indie publishers are starting to release multiple variant covers and merch lines at the same time as a number 1, really trying to sell their number 1. And it is seemingly working a lot. I mean, as far as I could tell, Phantom Star Killer, every printing almost sells out. They're out of one of the action figures, completely sold out of one of the hats, I believe. And they're doing well as far as getting followers, but they're just kind of not really, I think, following through with a number 2. And so my question for everybody, because I kind of go back and forth on this, I have my preferences, but I just want to hear what you guys think. Is it smart to prioritize the glamour of the issue number 1s and the merch over a continuing story that leads to multiple issues?
That's an interesting question because, I've kind of made a joke about it, that, creators like you, Brian, and like Eric are kind of rare in that you got to a 2nd issue.
Yeah.
I see that a lot, especially in the current climate of crowdfunded comics, that a lot of effort goes into that 1st issue. Yeah. In fact, I saw one. This was about 6 months ago or so. I cannot remember the name of it, but they had 30 or 40 variant issues.
Yeah.
Which I will say, my friend Karen Nicole, she's got a slew of variant issues, but she's also doing it for her 2nd issue.
Right.
So she has a huge following. But yeah, it does look like a lot of a number, I shouldn't say a lot, but a lot of more visible companies do that number one, and then that's pretty much it. Now, was there any indication in the back of the Starkiller comic that the story would go into that side project, or did it give you the impression that number two would take up the narrative?
They really didn't say either way. It really and honestly, the end of the issue really feels like it's very much going to lead into a number two. But the only thing after that is it does say that the curse continues in this next number one issue. So I don't know if that means this direct story is going to carry over, but that's really that again. Are they just trying to release a bunch of number ones to get the hype going? And it's actually one continuous story just released through different spin-off number one issues. Yeah. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but I'm confused as a reader. It confuses me. There's no real clarity as to what direction the story is going and how I should follow it. And it's the same with, like I said, Murder Hobo. There are other title that they're seemingly doing this with. It's just hard to follow. I'm like, so do I need to go get this other number one to understand what's next? I'm so confused, and there's no real clarification. But at the same time, they're killing it in sales and in gaining popularity. I mean, and I mean, so. To me, as many of you know, I released number 7, or I'm about to release number 7, send it out to our backers. We just closed the book on that campaign a couple weeks ago. To me, and we have a variant cover with every issue. I in no way do I want to paint a negative light in marketing like they've done, launching a merch line with the trade paperback that we initially did for Memoirs. We launched a bunch of merch with it because I think that's important. I think that's cool to have. If you're a fan of a comic book, like I said, I want to go out and buy some of these things because they're cool to have, because I love this story. But I'd really love an issue number 2.
Right.
And I don't know what to do with that,
Right. Historical Fancy Guild, Nick Tockert says, part of why I love working with Luke Stone, he did a number 2 and 3. In fact, I just got number 7, I think it was, in the mail just like yesterday. And Joe Dog, have a good show tonight, my friend. Cindy Cap says, if those first issues did poorly, then that might explain the new gear. Some novel writers don't go into the next in the series if number 1 failed. And of course, there are a number of prominent writers who just kind of abandoned their series after a while. Anyway, and I refuse to name them. And Historical Fencing Guild says, I think the chain of number 1s is folks trying to jump straight into creating something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is a possibility. And Cindy Cap says, if issue number 1 did well, then I don't know what the score is. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with this. Is I'm like, this is a great book. It's a great number 1. It's a ton of fun. They set up a universe, and I mean, I guess that's kind of what my thoughts go to is maybe they're really just trying to ride the coattails of a number 1. Everyone wants to get the number 1, so now every story that comes out is a number 1. But eventually people are going to catch on to that if that's the case. And I feel like that's kind of a dumb way to do it. But I don't know. It's just weird. And I am one that I would much rather, like Luke Stone is a perfect example. I would much rather have a person continuing a story that is dedicated to the story than an action figure or, something like that. I know Luke's about to come out, and Luke and Nick are about to come out with the RPG for Sons of God. That's awesome. But he's still creating the book. Exactly. Go ahead, Clyde. What were you going to say?
Well, as a buyer, as a backer, I would back, Luke or Eric or Brian because, yes, we have a track record. Yeah. We have a commitment. And I think in your cases also we have you have said what you're planning to do. Mm-hmm. Could your plans change? Yeah. But if I'm going to back something, I would go along with something like that with a storyline. Now, that said, if they did the same thing with things like Phantom Starkiller, if they said, hey, we're going to do a series, we're going to do number 1s to introduce the whole cast and build the world. Great. Declare it, because that merch, that Ben Cooper and Don Post kind of merch, I just love that idea.
Yeah.
But I would come closer to buying something like that and backing it or getting those items if I knew that there's going to be more story.
Yeah. And maybe that's what they're doing, but there's nothing that really says that. You know, like you said, like declare it, make it, like put it at the end of the book, like kind of like map it out. Say this is what we're doing. This is exactly the vision of this, and that way we're all not, like, as a reader, I don't get to the end of number 1 and I'm like, so there's another number 1. What's happening?
Well, you know, if it's a number 1, you're expecting a number 2. I mean, just say it's a one shot.
Yeah,
this one shot's going to lead into this one shot, and this one's going to lead into that one. And
I don't know, like I guess it's just a different way of doing it. That I mean, like I said, clearly on some level, it's working for them. So I don't know. I kind of after scouring the internet and trying to find any kind of resemblance of a number 2 that might be on the horizon and not finding a thing, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just too old now. It was like maybe I just want something this is the new direction of how to release comics, and I'm just out of it now.
That happens.
Yes.
I got to pull an Amy Hale. I'll be right back.
The hail pale strikes again.
That's right. And now a word from our sponsor, the Podcatheter. Okay, when you really have to go, you can't, and you must.
You know, all he wanted to do was just move so we could see his Zombieful World of Oz poster. That's all it was. Yeah, it's just a promo op.
Yeah, I know, and you know, but the thing is, that's for shameless promotion. You know, we can fix that too. But anyway,
he's over there now. I don't know. Okay,
no, we'll put you back. No, I don't want no fright here. But no, you know, it just puzzles me, because if the number 1 is selling that well, my first thought would be,
yes,
do a number 2.
Do a number 2. Get them out there. Like if it's doing so well, my goodness, just keep going. And I don't know, that's a part of me. Like, I really thought way too much about this last night, because I was just like trying to wrap my head, because I'm a comic book creator. Like, if this is a new strategy, I kind of want to get my head into why they're doing this. Yeah. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me a really beneficial reason to do this. Like, if you're wanting to sell the story and you're wanting to you know, do this, like, I get it. If you want to do the number 1, do a huge blowout. You know, go with the merch line, do 8 variants. That's cool. And then at the end of it, put an ad in there for number 2.
What it feels like is that they just won't commit. It's like we don't really want to lay out what we're going to do, because we might want to change our minds. We may get a better offer. We may get.
I mean, maybe.
So that does not endear me to dropping money on the project.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, as a creator, I was trying to figure out if this is like just a different strategy that I should like maybe consider, you know, in some form or fashion. And my mind went there for a little bit, but then I went back, and this is always how I approach creating. I approach it first as a reader. So I put myself in the reader's shoes, because I am a reader, and I go back to this, and I go back to the feeling that I felt when I got to the end of this book. And I was just like, I remember, you know, it was last night. Like, I felt like, okay, so now what? You know, and you don't want your readers to feel that way. You don't want your readers to be confused, because that is a sure way to get your readers to stop. Mm-hmm. You know, like, don't get me wrong, other Scout comics, they do a traditional, you know, 1, 2, 3. That's how they're releasing it. So I'm not really sure if that's a Scout Comics thing or if it is a creative team decision. I don't really know, because there are other series like Electric Black, which I'll be reviewing, you know, in the coming weeks. It's fantastic, and they have a spinoff series, but they've got, you know, sequential issues in order, and it works great. I'm not understanding the strategy behind this. So if anybody knows what the strategy is behind this and knows what's happening with this, please get in touch with me. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, please correct me, because I'm just confused.
I don't blame you. Now, Nick Tucker of the Historical Fencing Guild.
The baby!
I look down at the corner just happenstance, and I see Baby Yoda staring at me.
Oh my God! I'm thinking, my God, what did that shot do to me? I'm seeing things now. I'm seeing things. Help me!
Oh, the sweet breath of release.
Yes. Rather than doing it where he sits. But anyway, is it possible, asks Nick Tockard, that something happened to the creator to delay news stories, or are they just milking the material without creating much new content? Yeah, and without any word.
Are they milking the Dynamite plan for like Vampirella? They've had that first issue come out about 20 different times.
See, that's
with
what
different artists on every cover, but it's the same issue that keeps coming out. Yeah.
That's what they're doing with this, and that's what they're doing with like Murder Hobo, and I think they have another one that they're doing that with. And I'm just like, why? Like at this point, what are you doing? And I don't know, to answer Nick's question. I don't know if something happened with them because they're doing it with other books. It makes me think not. And these same creators are doing this spinoff book that's supposed to come out this year. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
And Cindy Kemp has a good question. Same creative team. My turn, your turn, his turn. That could very well be. It could be. But, and it could be an idea that why are we working so hard? We know we can sell this book again. Let's just hire somebody to do another cover for us. In fact, Eric brought up Vampirella. That I remember a few months ago, they were Dynamite or whoever was crowdfunding a variant cover.
Yeah, they've crowdfunded. I think it's at least 6 of them. Wow. And they've all been different artists. You had Ethan Van Sciver. I want to say Art Tieber did one. That Star Wars girl, she's an internet personality. A few other people, yeah. But it was the same comic, just a different cover, and they were months apart.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost like my cynical side goes to, it's just a gimmick, just to sell books, and I don't want to go that route, but it just kind of seems like that's what they're doing.
It does look like it, especially if they're not communicating with their fans. Historical Fencing Guild goes on to say, for big stompy robots, check that out. That's a great pickup mecha game there. I made the quick play, the core rulebook, 2 novellas so far, all building on the others. The method they are using seems predatory, manipulative, makes me hesitant to purchase. Yeah.
Which I hate because, like I said, it's so good. Like, I actually do encourage people to go get this book, and I will actually be picking up the next one. But the spinoff series, the spinoff number 1 I will be picking that up. But honestly, after that, if they don't give some kind of clarification as to where the series is going, I'm with Nick. I think it's potentially manipulative and really just milking your material and taking advantage of your readers. If that's the case. If it's not, then that's different. But I don't know, because it's very reminiscent of like Marvel and Image in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like how they just released X-Men. Marvel, you just released Jim Lee's X-Men over and over again. Chris Claremont and Jim Lee's X-Men. How many covers were there? Everybody, it was super, everybody was like, oh my gosh, these are great.
Yeah, 5.
Right.
I have multiples of each one.
Did you think you were going to put your children through college like everyone else?
No, I didn't think that. I just liked them. I really liked them.
Yeah. Oh, I collected. That's honestly, that series is what really got me to collecting comics because they were just so cool. Sure. I didn't care about the money. I was like, this is going to be awesome to put on my wall.
Yeah.
Side note, though, as far as variant covers, I'm not a big variant cover guy. I never have been. I don't mind it if I can't get another one, like the Noctera. Yeah, it's fine. I don't care. But something that a creator pointed out once, and if it is kept within reason, that's giving artists work. And as long as it's not covering up something that's been released like 18 times before, if it is like 6 or 7 variant covers, and it's giving other people a spotlight, great. Yeah. That's fine, especially if there's not a big price difference and you could just pick and choose.
Right.
You know.
And that's completely fine. And if you have that, like I said, even if you did a big rollout for issue 1 and then you went on with the series, or if you did that with every issue, I have no problem with that whatsoever. That's totally cool. I mean, I am totally cool with the variants that glow in the dark and all that stuff. Like, if you really want to spend your money doing that, that's fine. But if it's just re-releasing the same issue over and over again,
yeah.
Well,
that's the thing, that a lot of the stuff we're seeing, like variant covers, and re-releases, are the things that I think helped collapse the market.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
And you go on someplace like Bleeding Cool or the Comics Beat or wherever, and where they announce like this issue is going to have like a variant cover and a sales incentive cover, and so-and-so store has sponsored a run of a specific cover they're doing. And invariably, people get on there and start complaining about, well, I want all the variants, and if, say, Mile High Comics has their own variant, how am I going to get that? I declare this whole thing a failure. May it die. And what do we got, Eric? Oh, there we go.
Another Universe variant cover. AnotherUniverse.com.
Yeah, exactly.
So this one didn't go to regular stores. It went to, was for Another Universe.
Right. And I notice a lot of Kickstarters now have a number of them, I should say, again, have a level where a store or a private concern can sponsor their own own variant. Look at what, I don't know if anybody reads the Doctor Who, the Titan series Doctor Who comics. In the back, there's inevitably literally a page of the variant covers of just that specific issue. Yeah. Because, there's the A Doctor, the Photo Doctor, the alternate cover by someone else, the blank sketch cover, then the Virgin cover, the Cherry Coke cover, the usual, 9 yards, plus all the other companies that have their own run of that specific issue. And I can see where that'd be frustrating because so many of us are completists.
Yeah.
I don't know how long the market can really support that sort of thing. Like I said earlier, and again, which with much love to Karen Nicole for her comic, and she's built up this fandom, but she's offering everything's different on it. It's not just different artists, but like foil, hologram, lenticular, etc. So that sort of thing. She's got the kind of market, also different maturity levels.
Right, but at the same time, it's still a continuing story that she's continuing.
She's on issue 2 of Firebit.
Right, so see, that's my thing is, if you want to do this kind of stuff with every issue, go for it. That's fine. It's a little gimmicky, but okay, cool. But at least you are continuing a story, and you're not just re-releasing the same thing over and over and over again, and people are just buying it up. And I'm like, what is this now? Is this a story, or is this a collector's item that really has no real value, other than what you're saying? So I don't know.
And we probably can, judge this on 2 different levels, as opposed to somebody like Dynamite Comics with, the 500 ongoing variants of Vampirella _1, as opposed to, say, a Fire Bitch. Kara has a great name for what, we do here.
Yeah.
And that's designer comics. It's low print run, very specific, hopefully high quality. So that's, it's whatever the market will bear on some of that. But the bigger companies, I guess I'm not quite as patient with. Historical Fencing Guild continues. It makes money short term, but kind of rips off the buyer, and that isn't sustainable over time. Excessive alt covers are just preying on the completionist collector.
Yeah.
Agreed. And speaking of variants, Luke Stone is re-releasing the early issues of Hybrids, but that is because his artistic skill has rapidly improved. That will provide a seamless reading experience. And and Nick, you made a very good comment about like the role playing game that Nick Tockert is working on. Great stuff, by the way. I play tested it earlier last year. But he, the core line is the comic, the ongoing comic story. And I've talked to Luke. It's going to reach a point where he's going to stop.
Yeah.
And he may do issues in the future, but he's also, looking into like doing a novelization of it. He's going to be repackaging them as trade paperbacks. And like Nick said, he's going to redo some of the early issues because his art has developed. So
it comes down to the question: are you building something, or are you cash grabbing something?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm always going to be more in support of somebody building something.
Yeah. Exactly. Historical Fencing Guild continues with Kara Nicole. She is a pinup cosplay model, so that format lends to collectible pinups actually have a special meaning to her devoted fans. Very well said.
There you go.
And also, like I said, some of them want to see a little bit of Kara, a little bit more of Kara. And that's about as nicely as I can put it. For this time of night, but God, don't we all? But anyway, no, and she's accommodating those fans, but yet there are some who are going to be reading this story that she tells me is PG-13.
Yeah.
The hottest thing is probably going to be the covers. But she, she's, got this very PG-13 story, and some of the covers reflect that they're more like what you'd see on a standard newsstand. But then again, she's got some who are wanting something more mature. And so
but see, that's her brand.
Could I do a topless comic?
Brand, yeah.
I would buy it, Eric. I would absolutely buy it. There you go. Yeah,
I would buy yours, Eric, for sure. I would. Yeah. And if you put Scratch and Sniff on it, I am so there.
No, but really, like that's her brand, so that makes sense, right? Like she is, like he said, like she's a pinup model, so it makes sense to provide more options for covers in that with her. But like. Phantom Starkiller isn't a pinup model, or at least he shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's a fetish one.
There we go.
I guess if you
so
have
is the
Skeletor,
Phantom Starkiller is the swimsuit issue coming out for summer? Is that the?
I hope so. Oh, I hope so. That would be hilarious.
I almost pulled out some swimsuit issues.
Oh my god!
I don't want to know what those smell like, Eric.
When you were talking about when you're talking about the Elemental, what do we do with the Elemental comics? I'd forgotten about them becoming adult comics. Yeah. I thought you swimsuit issue it. That's what you do to do that.
Well, there were I forgot that, Elemental swimsuit issue comics too. But but the thing is also Kara has built her platform, and she is incredibly popular because she has developed her platform, and it can sustain like. A couple dozen variant covers.
That's just so excessive. I mean, that many variant covers.
I'm sorry. I read ahead and I read Nick's next comment.
I did too. Here we go. Eric Hawkins, I am so tempted to draw you topless with a giant censored bar. It might not be that big. Come on, Eric.
I'm not taking my shirt off on the internet. Nothing leaves the internet. The internet is forever.
Stick around for the Zombie World of Oz number 4, where Eric has the special Scratch and Sniff plastic-coated bottomless cover.
Yeah, I've had I had variant issue covers for 1 and 2 of the Zombie World of Oz. I probably had more. Well, I think I had about the same amount for each issue. Yeah. But only one of them was just because of issue 2, because I did an Indiegogo campaign in addition to the Kickstarter, and they want you to have something different. So I did a cover that was exclusive to Kickstarter and a cover that was exclusive to Indiegogo. But I try to limit it on the covers, and why I end up with more covers is I get another idea for a cover pops up in my head. Oh, let me draw that one too. And so I've only got 3 covers for this one. One's a sketch cover.
Very good. Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. Now that you mention it, Kara also had like a Kickstarter campaign with a certain number of them. Then she did the Indiegogo with a whole bunch. So individually, it may have been more variants than most people provide, but I guess I was thinking of the overall things. Kara, I love you. We all love you. We do. But it's, I see, like I said, I've seen people with, if they have a following, I'm unaware of it. Let's put it that way. And I like to think I keep my fingers fairly close to the pulse. And yet, they're saying, oh, we got like 218 different variant covers. And I'm like, that's nice. Good for you.
I see campaigns. I mean, you're scrolling down for days to look at all the levels they have and all the covers and more covers and more covers and more covers. Yeah. I'm like, good grief. But you do get people that will buy a package that has all the covers in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, the profit margin on that's incredible.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, when you and I did Spencer Spook, we had a level that was everything.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I think it was almost half of our money came from that one.
Yeah. And because unless you do a lot of different like foil and stamping and glow in dark on each cover, if it's just a different image, it's not costing really any more to print. Yeah. So you're making, a profit margin times however many covers you're selling that compared to one book. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like I said, when we have a ton of merch too. With every new campaign, we have more merch, and we have merch that we've had in the past still for inventory. So we have a level called the Mother Load every single time, and it is literally everything that we have for Memoirs of an Angel. And we'll do the same thing with the Nebulizer. We will start building merch slowly at a time, and then eventually, I mean, it's a limited series, so we won't have as much. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like at a certain point, it's like, okay, is this about the story you're trying to tell, or is it just more about, getting the quick buck?
Yeah.
And that's what some of this stuff is starting to seem like, which is very disappointing.
Yeah, it is. Well, I guess the thing though is, if we all see a campaign that we think is just a cash grab, unless it is something incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Don't support it.
Yeah.
That's the only way this stuff is going to go away. Rather than have like an entire collapse of the industry like in the 90s. Yeah. The only way it's going to go away is if we stop supporting it. We have to vote with our wallets. And I still, like I said earlier, see too many people, well, they're putting it out, so I've got to have it.
Yeah.
No, if you stop buying it and tell your comic shop why you're not buying it.
Yeah.
Maybe the message will go upstairs.
Yeah, and there's a phrase that's starting to really start to catch on, and it's putting out more and more content. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, what does that mean? Right? Like what is content versus quality story? I feel like what we're getting caught up in is the quantity of content. We just keep putting out content to keep up with everyone else around us. It's like, well, hold on. If you stop focusing on just putting out a bunch of content and start putting out good quality stories and focus on that, it may not be as often, but when it comes out, the people are going to show back up because they know that they can count on you to tell a good story, and their money investment isn't just going nowhere.
Yeah.
That makes an awful lot of sense, Brian. I completely agree. So, and Historical Fencing Guild says, so what you're saying is I should just do a bunch of variant covers for Paul Bunyan, Kaiju Hunter once it is done, and a swimsuit spinoff.
And a topless cover.
And a topless cover, and a version cover, and a sketch cover, blank sketch.
And a Babe the Blue Ox Kaiju swimsuit edition.
Ooh.
Yeah, and a Paul Bunyan kaiju next to an Eric Hawkins shirtless kaiju as well. I think that's the ticket right there.
Or Kelly and the Kinky Stud. Wasn't that what it was? Was it Sexy Kelly and the Kinky Stud from Clerks 2?
Oh,
right.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, my mind was still in comics, and I was like, "Who is this?" Oh,
and I'm still on the topless Eric Hawkins thing.
We caught BKM daydreaming over there.
I'm sure if you look hard enough, you'd find something on the internet.
Oh, Eric's got leaked pics.
I've been doxxed.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see, thefappening.com, Eric Hawkins Surge. Oh my god. And we have to work in that Kevin Smith reference in every show now, I think.
Oh,
so,
absolutely. Yeah.
It's got to be spontaneous, but it's got to be in there somehow. So that's what she said. Anyway, sorry, I couldn't resist, and I admit I didn't try. But anyway, I think that was a good discussion. We have solved absolutely nothing, but it was a good discussion nonetheless.
Well, if anything, we just made people. First of all, I just want to make people aware, but also if you are out there and you are going, "You idiot! They said it here." Please send me the article that explains it, because I would love to know. Because as a reader of Phantom Starkiller, I want to know how to read this comic. So help me, please.
Send your links to yes, Clyde. I believe you had something.
Before we close out, the omnibus question, let's save that for next time.
Ooh, yes. I like that idea.
Okay. Writing it down. So.
And thank you guys for that question.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you,
was it Ryan Permisson?
Who has been coming up with some very, very wonderful questions. He did so last week. This edition must own. Okay. I've got it written down. We will discuss that next week. And if any of you have a subject you would like us to discuss, please send it to one of us via Facebook Direct Messenger, and we will consider it. We would love to.
We'll consider it. We won't do it, but we'll consider it.
Yeah.
Well, we have to bring it before the council. Is what we have to do.
We have to rule on it. But I am just like, I want like like left-handed kaiju dinosaur porn comics. I would like to hear you guys discuss that. And of course,
we have to have Christian Basil on for that one.
And none of us. But yes, and if you love Christian Basil, and he would love you too, please check out The Legend of Traveling TARDIS every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. We do love you, Christian. You give us the same kind of crap anyway. But anyway, no, please, folks, if you do have any sort of questions, please forward them to us if you would, and we will consider them. We really would. You guys have given us some terrific ideas so far.
Yeah.
So. They've been very fun. And Cindy kept rules in, says, thanks for playing. Great fun. Had by all. Thank you, Cindy. And that's CKOEPP.com. Please check out her newsletter. It is really great reading. And check out her book. She is available on Amazon. And she's also creating her very first comic book, Animal Eye, based on her latest novel. And it's fantastic. It is beautiful stuff. Please keep an eye for that, because that's going to get crowdfunded in the next few weeks. So that's going to be an awesome book. Looking forward to that. So anyway, speaking of awesome, thank you guys for being here again. And making this a fun evening. I love this show, and again, I'm getting a lot of good response for it. So we're all having fun anyway. Good. So anyway, let's go around the room. We'll start with Brian, and please tell everyone how they can how they can clutch you and to their bosom and stay in touch with you. That's why we're starting out with you. Oh yes, well, you sexy piece of man candy.
I'll tell you how to clutch me. No, okay. Hey, there we go. It's a late night. Let's do this. No, I'm. Did someone just die? What just happened? No,
happiness, you hunk you.
I'm Brian Rodman. You can find me at brianrodman.com. I'm the author and illustrator of Memoirs of an Angel and soon to be The Nebulizer. Keep an eye out on social media. If you want to get the inside scoop, there are two places you can go. For the Nebulizer news and upcoming Memoirs of an Angel news, you can go to brianrodman.com and subscribe to our newsletter. Or if you want even more in-depth stuff, you can go to patreon.com/Brian Rodman. And here in the next few days, I am about to drop something really cool for my patrons. So if you want to get in on that, go sign up right now and you will not regret it. I promise. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially in the next couple weeks. So go to brianrodman.com. You can find me on all social media there. I'm also 1/3 of the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, a show about all things nerdy on YouTube. So thank you for having me, Brian. Once again, this was a great week.
Thank you very much, Brian. I'm glad you're getting out to the comic shops again. It does my heart good. And speaking of doing my heart good, there he is, the one, the only, the Eric S. Hawkins. Where can people stay in touch with you, Eric?
Twitter's the best place, and Facebook. ES_Hawkins on Twitter. Eric Hawkins on Facebook. Eric Scott Hawkins on Facebook. Stone Door Studios on Facebook. The Zombie World of Oz on Facebook. Oh, and issue 3 will be funding on the 26th. I launch it. There will be 365 variant covers, one for every day of the week, for a mere $10,000 pledge. But, go out to Kickstarter, look up Zombie World of Oz, and sign up.
Thank you very much, Eric. And now, here's Clyde Hall. Clyde, how can people keep up with you?
You can follow me on Facebook at Clyde Hall, or at Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. I'm on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984. And you can also find Brian's work and my work in Pulp Reality #1, Stormgate Press. If you go to Stormgate Press, you will soon see some other things that I'm involved in, some other projects that will be available, including Pulp Reality #2 coming this summer.
Most excellent. Thank you very much, Clyde. And thank you, all three of you, for being on the show again this week. And we will all 4 be back. Now, if you want to keep up with me, I'm mostly on Facebook. We also have Rising Tide publications page there. I'm also on YouTube. Like the crawl says, please like this video wherever you're watching it, and please share it with your friends. And we do this every week at 7 p.m. We're part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Here is the list of shows, and please check them out. Thursday nights are pretty exciting. We start with Ted Davies in the morning at 10, TED Talks Timepieces. And then following this show is Amy, a creative is Hale, with Amy Hale, a great author, great friend, and her husband John, interviewing various creatives on the rise. And then Joe Dog McKeel and his friends do Stupid O'Clock at 9 p.m. You will want to catch that show as soon as you leave here. And stay tuned for the Stupid After Show. Plus, never mind the Furthermore, which will be on tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central, with creative conversation and coffee. Also, I have a Patreon too, and take a look at those people. Please check out their Patreon offerings. For a modest financial investment every month, you can support your favorite creators, and I am there as Brian K. Morris, all one word, lowercase. And we're offering opportunities to see our works in progress, as well as a weekly blog, maybe more when I don't have deadlines, and other delights. So please check us out on Patreon. And like I said, we'll be on tomorrow morning on Nevermind the Furthermore, and we'll be back next week with another issue of Comic Book Spectrum. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. And we want to thank also Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. Check out Plasma Fire Graphics on Facebook and .com. They are awesome. You will love them. And thank you again for being here. We'll see you next week on Comic Book Spectrum. And remember, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week on Comic Book Spectrum. Oops.
Thank you for watching Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Please join us next week for another look at comics, past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this, please give the show a like and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. To receive our free monthly newsletter, go to www.risingtide.pub and be sure to give the Rising Tide Broadcast Network page on Facebook a like in order to receive news about upcoming shows, including Clever Title Pending, Stupid O'Clock, Clever as Hail, Comics Chaos and Sass, Tidbits and Scribbles, the Historical Fencing Guild, and Nevermind the Furthermore. See you next week.